Okay, we'll look at some of the homework problems that are in section 6-1. Like problem number 1, let's say we want to write a fraction to represent the shaded region of the figure. Okay, now here we have a figure, and in this case, this particular figure is divided into 8 equal parts. And 2 of those equal parts are shaded. So here, the fraction for that will be simply 2/8. Okay, now we're asked not to simplify this, so we're just going to leave this as a fraction of 2/8, because 2 out of the 8 parts are shaded. Okay, take a look at this next problem here. Now in this case here, I'm going to read the problem first and then show you the illustration. Each of these objects is divided into equal sections, and part of each object is shaded. The shaded part is a fraction of the whole object, and you're asked which object represents the fraction 3/9. And here are the choices that you have. Okay, now if we look at each one of those, you're going to see that we have 3 shaded parts out of 9 in figure A. Figure C has 4 out of 9 shaded parts. Figure B has 8 out of the 9 parts that are shaded, and D only has 1 out of the 9 that are shaded. So here, A would fit the object that represents the fraction 3/9. So you just type in answer A. Okay. All right, let's look at problem number 3. Let's say we want to find 2 fractions equivalent to the following fraction. And that fraction that we're looking at is 10/11. And here you're given this. Let's say 10/11, and you want to write an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 22, and 10/11, same fraction, but this time with a denominator of 77. Let's take the one where we want to write an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 22. In order for us to have a 22 in the denominator from the 11, we need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2. Because 2 times 11 will give us a 22. So now 2 times 10 is 20. So the equivalent fraction of 10/11 with a denominator of 22 would be 20/22. And then for 10/11 with a denominator of 77, we need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 7. Now 7 times 11 will give us a 77, but 7 times 10 for our numerator will be 70. So 70/77 will be the equivalent fraction for 10/11. All right, number 4, write the fraction in lowest terms. In other words, we want to write 40/56 as a fraction in simplest form. That means we need to find some number, or we'll find some number that would go into 40 and 56. Or we can write this as a product of prime numbers. Like 40 can be written as 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. And then 56 can be written as 2 times 2 times 2 times 7. And then we can start dividing out some numbers. These 2's can be divided out. And you're left with 5/7. So the fraction in lowest terms for 40/56 would simply be 5/7. Or you could have seen that for 40/56, the largest number that can go into both 40 and 56 would be 8. So you have to divide 8 into 40 and 8 into 56 to get the 5/7. All right, number 5. Determine if the following pairs are equal by changing both to the same denominator. So here we want to change 18 over 22 and change 26 over 28 to the same denominator. Okay. Well, first, with 18 over 22, I think I can reduce this, because I know I can divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. That would give me 9 over 11 and 26 over 28. I'm going to reduce that by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 2. That's going to give me 13 over 14. Okay? But I want to see if they're equal by changing both to the same denominator. So for 11 and 14, I'm going to do a common denominator for 11 and 14, which will be, in this case, 154. So the common denominator for 11 and 14 will be 154. Okay? Now let's look at 9 11s. Now if I want to make 9 11s 154, I need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 14. And that would give me 126. And for 13 over 14, if I want to make that denominator 154, an equivalent fraction means I need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 11. And that's going to give me 143. Now compare the numerators. 126 over 54 and 143 over 154 are not the same. So I can conclude that 18 over 22 and 22 over 26 over 28 are not equal, because those numerators were not the same. All right, take a look at this next problem, number 6. If a fraction is equal to 5/8 and the sum of the numerator and the denominator is 52, what is the fraction? Okay, we know that the fraction is equal to 5/8, but the sum of the numerator and the denominator is 52. All right, let's see here. If I add 5 plus 8, the numerator and the denominator together are 5 and 8, that's going to be 13. And I know 13 times 4 will give me 52. Okay, and I do want a denominator of 52. So in 5/8, I need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 4. And when I do that, I'm going to have 20 over 32. And if you add 20 and 32 together, you'll get 52, which is what we wanted, because the sum of the numerator and the denominator has to be 52. So that equivalent fraction for 5/8 is 20 over 32. Okay, number 7. Okay, in this case here, we're going to use gauge B to give fraction notation for the amount of gas in the tank and the amount of gas used from a full tank. All right, here's gauge B right here. Okay, and by looking at this is going to be sectioned off into 8s, because that's like 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, all the way up to 8/8 or 1 whole. And that F will represent the full tank of gas, or 1 whole tank. So in this case here, let's find the fraction amount of gas in the tank represented by gauge B. In this case here, this lever, or this handle, or this hand is at 7/8. Because it's sectioned off into 8, so it's right here. So that's 7/8 of a tank of gas. And what fraction amount of gas has been used from a full tank represented by gauge B? Well, 1/8 of the tank of gas is used, so that means that If we know 7/8 of the tank of gas is left, then 1/8 of that has to be used up. And then number 8, we want to use less than or greater than to make the statement true. 4/5 and 1/4. Now we can use the concept where we can do the cross product, where A times D and B times C, and just compare those cross products. Let's look at the cross product going this way. 4 times 4, that's 16. Compare that to the cross product going this way. 5 times 1, that's 5. Here is 16 less than or greater than 5. Of course, it's greater than. 16 is greater than 5, so that means that 4/5 is greater than 1/4. So here we're going to use greater than. So 4/5 is greater than 1/4. Okay. And this should be enough to assist you with some of the homework problems that are on MyMathLab.